you do me a favor? On the count of three, hold your breath. 1, 2, 3.
Stony Brook made it difficult, but the #1 team in the country for the third straight tournament and 9th time in the past 12, North Carolina headed to the NCAA semifinals.
Focus on the tightness growing in your chest, the steady beat of your heart pounding before it starts to quicken, the anxiety that builds as you wait for it to end. The wait is always the hardest part. It feels like we've been holding our collective breath this entire season. It's hard to trust when something appears to be too good to be true. And although we know UNC and their talent is real, it's easy to wonder whether a national championship title will be the last domino to fall. UNC ended their season as the 5-time defending ACC champions, locking in their winning record of 18-0. This was enough to win them an NCAA tournament bid for the 16th tournament in a row, and the #1 seed. From the beginning of the season, there was a clear target on UNC's back. They hadn't lost a game since 2019, and their team was touted as the GOAT of women's lacrosse. The satisfaction that would come with knocking them off their designated throne would be immense. We guessed about who, if anyone, it could be. But their opponents in the NCAA tournament have made it clear that they wanted it to be them. James Madison last won the championship title in 2018 after beating Boston College 16-15. Some were surprised by the win, so JMU entered the tournament with something to prove as well. And that was certainly felt in the first half. Both teams tied 3 times throughout the first, with JMU leading 4-2 at one point. But UNC was able to go on a 7-2 run to lead 9-6 going into halftime. Their scoring production from 7 different players is what helped them pull away with the win.
And that'll do it. The #1 team in the nation stays undefeated.
UNC's matchup against Stony Brook was even more nerve-wracking. The two had last seen each other at the very beginning of the season, where UNC beat the Seawolves 14-7. Stony Brook came out determined and on a mission, scoring the first 3 goals within 7 minutes of the first half. UNC was able to climb back to tie the game at 3-3, but had trouble holding down leads, and ended up behind the Seawolves again at 10-8 in the second half. But if there's one thing we know to be true about the Tar Heels, it's that even when they're down, they're nowhere near out. UNC was there when Stony Brook couldn't finish, receiving key backup from Taylor Marino in goal, and game-changing goals from Jamie Ortega, Scotty Rose Growney, and Taylor Warheim. With their 14-11 win over Stony Brook in hand, UNC enters the NCAA semifinals for the 9th time since 2009. We'll get to see their all-too-familiar rival, Boston College, for the 2nd time this year. Although UNC breezed through their first game 21-9, Boston College comes into the matchup with seamless wins over Fairfield, Temple, and Notre Dame. Who wins will ultimately come down to who is able to keep the momentum long enough to get them into the championship game, where they'll meet the winner of Syracuse versus Northwestern. Are you still holding your breath? We'll let you know when you can let it go.